Hi yogis, namaste. Here with another Shiva story for you, this one by request. Someone wanted to know the story behind the warrior poses, and I realized it's not on the website, which is such a travesty because it's a fantastic story. And so our story today starts with a woman named Sati, and Sati was madly in love with Shiva. From the time she was little, she knew she wanted to marry Shiva, but Sati's father was not so down with the idea. Her father, Daksha, was this very egotistical, kind of like high and mighty man who cared so much about appearances. He really wanted everyone to see that he had the best of everything. He had the most beautiful daughters, he had the biggest house, he had the nicest things. And he did not like the idea of Sati marrying Shiva, because as we know by now, Shiva's a wild man. Shiva's hard to tame. Shiva likes to hang out in the cremation grounds with all the ghosts and covers body with the ashes of the dead and meditate all day long and, wears nothing but a loincloth. And Daksha, it was not Daksha's idea of the perfect mate for his beautiful daughter. But they married anyway, despite her father's hesitation about this. Sati did marry Shiva, and when it came time for the wedding, Shiva came down from the mountain to get his bride, and he came looking disgusting and dirty and wild and crazy, and he was followed by a trail of demons and ghouls and ghosts, and they were all playing loud music and covered in ashes and dust. And Daksha, Sati's father, was so angry, as you could imagine. A wedding, this is like Daksha thought his chance to show the world how rich I am, what a fabulous party I can throw. Look here. And instead, here comes this Shiva with ghosts and ghouls and stinking to the high heavens and making all this noise. Daksha was so angry, and Shiva saw that. He realized he made a mistake, and so he quickly went back home and he changed. He got himself all cleaned up. He left the ghosts and the ghouls behind, and he came all sparkling and shiny to pick up his bride. And so they did marry, but Daksha, her father, never forgot that incident. He just couldn't let it go. He was so mad. It just burned like a fire in his heart. That remembrance of that incident of Shiva really embarrassing him. He felt like Shiva made a fool of him in front of all of his friends, God forbid. And so some time goes by, and Daksha decides he's going to throw a party. He's going to have a yagya, a fire ceremony, a ritual where you put all kinds of things into the fire and you chant mantras and you're asking the gods for some gift, to be blessed. And he invites everybody, he invites all the gods and all the demigods and all the higher ups in society and just anyone who's anyone, except he doesn't invite his daughter Sati and her new husband Shiva. And Sati is so upset about it. She said, that's my own family. How could he? And Shiva doesn't care. Shiva's like, babe, we don't want to go to that stupid party anyway. We're really happy here, in our house. Don't worry about what other people are doing. But she just couldn't let it go. She was so upset at her father that she decided she was going to go to the party anyway. Shiva tries to stop her, but she can't be stopped. She's too powerful to be stopped. And so she does. She goes to the party. She shows up, walks in the door, and she's just so sad because her father still doesn't want her there. He sees her, he's not happy. He mocks her husband. Everyone at the party is making fun of her. They don't accept her choice. Now because she married someone they consider a fringe-dwelling, misfit outsider, now they're treating her like that too. They're treating her with disrespect, disregard, and she's so upset. And she's so upset that she starts to get really, really hot inside. And all of a sudden, Sati bursts into flames. She dies right there in the middle of the party, in front of her father, in front of everyone. And Shiva, who's still at home up in the mountaintop, right away he knows something's happened. They're so connected, Shiva and Sati. And so right away he feels this tearing of his heart, and he knows what happened to Sati. He gets so mad. Shiva gets so upset. He starts to burn with rage. He's so mad that he takes one of his own dreadlocks and he yanks it out and he just throws it down into the ground. When you're so mad, you just want to throw things, and so you're so heartbroken. He was so heartbroken. And so he throws the dreadlock down, where the dreadlock takes form and it starts to burrow down through the earth. And when it reaches the center of the earth, the dreadlock transforms into this massive warrior, and his name is Virabhadra. And Virabhadra, the warrior, then starts to burrow back up from the center of the earth, and he comes up right underneath Daksha's party. Right underneath, he busts through the floor. He busts, and this is your warrior one, right? Busting up from the floor, arms extended. Virabhadra rises up, smashes around through the floor, and he looks and he sees Daksha. And he sets his sights on Daksha, and that's your warrior two. And then he grabs his sword and he takes a swing and he cuts Daksha's head off. Daksha's head goes rolling. Everyone at the party is completely panicking. It's terrible. Situation has gone from bad to much, much, much worse. And so Shiva is still there on his mountaintop. He's knowing, he can see all of this happening in his mind's eye. He's very aware of what's going on. And when Daksha's head goes rolling, Shiva feels terrible. And he thinks, ooh, maybe I went a little bit too far. And so he reabsorbs the warrior, Virabhadra, back into his own body. And he himself goes to the party where he gives Daksha a new head. He gives him a goat's head, actually, which just happened to be something that was there. He puts the goat's head back on Daksha and breathes life into it, and Daksha opens up his eyes. And Daksha now feels terrible for how he treated his own daughter and her husband. And Sati, don't worry about her. She gets reincarnated as Parvati. So she does get to come back again as Shiva's beloved. Shiva leaves the party and everyone is much changed. Much transformation has come as a result of this whole incident. And so these warrior poses are beautiful poses that remind us of how important it is to manage our own ego. And Daksha, he's us too. We're Shiva, we're Daksha, we're Parvati, we're all of it. And Daksha represents the ego. Daksha represents maybe our shadow self or our smaller self or some of those habits that we don't love so much about ourselves, but we're lucky that we're on this path, and we also are Shiva. And so Shiva cutting the head off of Daksha is like cutting away the nonsense and cutting away the ego and the things that keep us stuck and small so that we can transform into our best selves. And I think it's really wonderful how when Shiva sees what happened, that Daksha's head gets cut off, he feels bad about that, and he takes the warrior Virabhadra and reabsorbs him. There's a tenderness to that our darkness, our shadow, our difficult parts, we have to, those are part of us too. And we have to accept all of it. And without that tenderness, if we're just nothing but, mad at our darkness, if we try to just cut it out completely, then we don't really spiritually grow. It's when we embrace it and we look at it and we transform it through our practices, then that's when we really grow. Namaste.